Calculate the average rate of change of the quadratic function y equals x squared minus 4x plus 5 over the interval 0 to 1. Okay, so what does it mean, calculate the average rate of change over this interval? Well, it means you calculate the x and the y values at 0 and 1, the lower bound and the upper bound, and then you find the rate of change by dividing those two. Okay, so remember, rate of change is basically slope. That is slope, and that is basically rise over run, also known as change in y divided by change in x. Okay, so that's all really important to keep in mind, but that's what we're looking for here. So to start, let's go ahead and calculate the values of x and y at the lower boundary of 0 first. Okay, so what that's going to mean is when x equals 0, let's plug that in and see what we get for y. Okay, let's do it over here. So the function is y equals x squared minus 4x plus 5. I'm plugging in 0 as my x, so I get y equals 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 5. Okay, keep calculating. Y equals 0 squared is 0. Now, negative 4 times 0 is also 0, or so I can just call it minus 0, plus 5. Okay, so I still have a plus 5 here at the end of it. Y equals 5. Okay, so that's one of my points that I want to keep in contact with, and the coordinate grid there, the coordinate points would be 0, 5, right? The x value is 0, the y value is 5. The other point, let's pick the other interval boundary, which is 1. Let's plug that into the equation as well. Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 5. I'm plugging in 1 now. Y equals 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 5. That gives me y equals 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times 1 is just 4, plus 5, and that is y equals 1 minus 4 gives me negative 3, plus 5 brings me back to the positive side of positive 2. Okay, so my point here is 1 as my x, comma 2. My very last step is to find the average rate of change. So that is, again, rise over run, right? And my change in y, just look at my two y points. So it went from 5 to 2. That is negative. So the rise is not actually a rise. It's not going up. It's actually going down. So it's a negative 3. Okay, it went from 5 down to 2. It went down 3 points. And then the run, it went from, the x value went from 0 to 1. It's just a positive 1 run. So the average rate of change here is actually negative 3 divided by 1, or just negative 3.